Now, even though cruisers are in a different boat than other travelers, and yes, I have been waiting quite a while to be able to use that cruise pun, these things are important to know. From changes in cruise line policies to new banned items to cruise port and destination rules that are implementing fees and taxes on cruisers. In this video, I'm going to go over everything that you need to know. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now we've got a lot of different changes, different rules that have finally been clarified, and unfortunately some new rules. It seems like there are a lot of rules this year, so I'm going to get right into that in this video. Now before I do, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Number one, travel requirements for those that are heading to Europe. And finally, we have a clarification, so I think it is important to know, especially for some of you who've been a little bit anxious about this. So firstly, we should talk about the ETIAS. Now, that is a new travel requirement that was supposed to come into effect in May 2025. However, this is pretty good if you are going on a Mediterranean cruise and you were concerned about when to apply for this. You can wait a little while because now, according to the website, it is only going to be implemented in 2026. Now, they do share on the website as well that all visitors will have at least a few months' notice. The ETA, or the Electronic Travel Authorization. Now, this is something that everybody who is heading into the UK is going to need. So this is whether you are flying into the UK or whether you are going on a cruise. Now you are going to need to apply for what is called the ETA, or Electronic Travel Authorization. Now this is not difficult. The cost is only £7 or about $13 US. But I do want to caution you, there are some websites that are kind of scamming people because they're charging more than you would pay on the official government website. So do make sure to only go to the official government website to apply. Now, according to the website, it should only take about 3 days. Some people even report that it is taking less time than that, but do not leave it to the last minute. Domestic travel rules. Now, if you are in the United States, something that you should know is the domestic air travel rules are changing. Now, I think a lot of people are aware of this. It is coming in May 2025. Now, what is happening? It is real ID requirements. Now, a lot of people are confused about what does this mean? What are you going to need to fly in the United States? So it's not as complicated as it sounds. Either you can have real ID or you can have some alternatives. Now, what are some alternatives to real ID that are acceptable? Well, one of them is a passport. The other is a passport card. As well, if you have global entry or if you have an enhanced driver's license. Now, there are 5 states that have enhanced driver's licenses: New York, Washington, Michigan, Vermont, and Minnesota. All right, let's move on to something that's a little bit more cruise focused, and this is cruise discount programs that are going or have gone away. Now, the AARP gift cards that some people used for cruises with Princess, with Holland America, and with Carnival. Well, for Carnival, as of January 2025, AARP is no longer selling those discount cards. Now, just to give you a little bit of history about this, the value of the AARP gift cards have been decreasing over the last year or so. And in particular, in November, the gift card was downgraded from 10% to 8%. And in December, it was downgraded from 8% to 5%. So in January, it is no longer available. Please let me know your thoughts on AARP gift cards. I know every little bit helps. Now, there have been some other cruise line changes that have come into effect this year. Now, one of them has to do with Norwegian Cruise Line that has officially retired its very popular Free at Sea. And as of January 2025, it has replaced it with the new program, which is More at Sea. Now, it is very similar, and it's a great bundle package that includes a drink package, some specialty dining, some intranet minutes, and some short excursion credits. And at different times, there are some other promotions available as well. Now, it does come at a little bit of a higher cost than Free at Sea, but we recently did try it on Norwegian Encore, and I can confirm that it was still a really good value. Carnival's booking change. Now, Carnival has changed their policy when it comes to who can book their cruises, and in particular, their age restrictions. So Carnival cruisers now have to be 21 or older to book a cruise on their own. So people that are under 21 can still go on a Carnival cruise. However, they do need to be accompanied with people that are over the age of 25. Now, there are a couple of exceptions. This includes married couples and those that are on active military duty. Cruise gratuity increases. Now, this is not across the board, and every cruise line does increase their daily gratuities, sometimes once a year, and sometimes it's even more than once a year. But the latest one to increase their gratuities is Margaritaville at Sea. That has changed their gratuities from $18 for a standard cabin to $20 per person per day. Now, as well, they have increased their gratuity on services like spa services and drinks and specialty dining from 18% to 20%. Now, other cruise lines that have recently increased their gratuities include Disney and Royal Caribbean. Now, something to note about cruise gratuities is most cruise lines do allow you to still modify that daily gratuity on board with guest services. However, I do have a little tip. What you can do when you book your cruise is you can prepay your gratuities, and this way, if the cost of the gratuities does increase from the time that you booked your cruise up until you sail, because you have prepaid them, you will still be giving those gratuities at the current amount that you paid. Now, while an extra $2 a day probably doesn't make a huge difference if you're one person, but if you are cruising as a family of 4, as an example, it can start to add up. Now, we have a new travel requirement for those that are heading to the United States for 30 days or longer. Now, in particular, I think that this is likely to affect Canadians that are typically snowbirds for the winter. Now, if you're going on a cruise for a week or 10 days or 20 days, this is not something that you have to worry about or consider. However, if you are heading to the United States for longer than 30 days, something that you will have to do is register. Now, this doesn't look like it's going to be very complicated. This is something new, so I know that there are always going to be some concerns when it does come to this. However, something important for Canadians to know in particular is even though foreign nationals usually do have to get fingerprinted when they are registered, it looks like as of now, Canadians will be exempt from the fingerprinting. Now, this is coming into effect in April 2025. And for anybody who is in the United States right now for longer than 30 days and returning after, I believe it's April 11th, you can check your registration status at the U.S. and Border Protection I-94 website. New tourist taxes. Now, there are some cruise ports where this is likely going to affect cruise travelers. Now, in particular, Venice, which is implementing a new tourist tax. As well, we have a couple of places in Greece, including Mykonos and Santorini. Now, this is only in effect on certain days and at certain times of the year when it really is peak season. And the idea is to reduce over-tourism. Now, when it comes to Venice, it is between 5 and 10 euros. And if you know that you are going to be going to Venice, just check the website because, again, this is not implemented on every single day of the year. It's only on peak days. But if you do head to the website and you apply more than 4 days before, instead of paying 10 euros, you will pay 5. Now, a bigger one that may affect cruisers is a new tourist tax in Mexico. Now, this tourist tax had cruisers exempt from this. However, it is very possible that this is going to be implemented. Now, it was supposed to be implemented in January 2025. However, it was delayed until July 2025. Now, there's a lot of speculation that if this $42 per person Mexico tourist tax does come into effect, that this may gradually reduce the amount of cruises that do actually head to the Mexican cruise port. Now, at this time, we don't have any additional information from the cruise lines about this. There's some speculation that this will be rolled into the price of cruises, but when I do have additional information, I will definitely share it with you. New banned items. Now, if you haven't cruised in a couple of years, there are some things that have changed, and honestly, even in the last couple of months, you can no longer bring a case of water bottles on most cruise lines. However, on some cruise lines, you can still bring 1 bottle of wine per person on embarkation day, And many cruise lines still allow people to bring non-alcoholic beverages in small quantities. So for instance, like a 12-pack of soda on board on embarkation day. Now, another item that is banned is internet routers. So if you are thinking about bringing an internet router to reduce the cost of your cruise ship Wi-Fi or even to avoid getting it, this is not something that you're able to do. And most cruise lines have updated their prohibited items policy to include this. Now, if you are wondering what are some of the other banned items on cruises, I'll leave a video right after this one with some of the latest items that you want to know about. And please let me know any of the questions that you may have about the new travel changes coming into effect this year. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now and happy cruising.